Hey. Yo, Wagwan. Look, that's sick, innit? Yeah, I can tell.
And welcome back, guys, to Leo Gaming. Yes, today is a review of Watchdogs Legions in 2021. Now, this game did come out just after launch of the Xbox Series X and S, which I did purchase the game at the time, and I played it for about an hour, but I got bored. I have now just completed this game, the main campaign anyway. I've still got some side missions to do. And I am pleasantly surprised. I'm glad I actually got back into it purely because I watched a couple of mini documentaries that some small YouTubers have done on YouTube. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try and give this another go. And I am so glad I did. Now it does not feel like a waste of 60 quid that I paid when I first bought it. And it feels like I'm actually quite satisfied with this. And there is a couple of massive reasons why I think this game is far superior to a lot of other Ubisoft open world titles. I will delve into that. So anyway, Watchdogs Legions is the third in the third installment of the series. I had high hopes before I went in, especially after watching the YouTube videos. I thought, okay, well, it's going to be quite good. And the comparison from the first two, the first two I had never completed. I'd sort of played about 10 hours of the first two and never really got right into it. I completed it. But with this one, I've actually gone and completed it, which to me says a lot about the game itself. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get straight into this review. What? What are you talking about? This is Watchdogs Legions, ain't it? So, to start with, guys, Watchdogs Legions is basically set in a sort of dystopian London, where a sort of paramilitary group called Albion have seized control due to the bombings or some terrorist attack that takes place at the start of the game. And they've sort of then been contracted in to sort of seize control of London and try and basically turn it into a dystopian world, which they sort of semi-achieve. And I've got to say, right off the bat, the reasons why this game is superior to other Ubisoft titles is because with this, the map is not huge. It's nowhere near as big as their other open world games, which is better. The quality within the area, the detail in the graphics and what they've got around, the recreation of London to all the historic sites is to an absolute T. Now, I'm a fan favourite of open world games that are in real life places. I can't stand games that are in completely made up places. I prefer real life places like Wildlands, Ghost Recon Wildlands, where it's somewhere that's actually real. And especially London, considering I'm from southeast London, I know exactly where all the historic sites are, the monuments, this, that, and the other. So I know exactly where I was going. The roads are, to be honest, I drove around a lot of the roads, and they have done them to a T. Obviously, they've added sort of features to them, but the roads themselves, where they are, if they go up or down, they've done it to an absolute T. I went to where I used to work around London Bridge. And they've done it, they've recreated it absolutely phenomenally. And because of the size of the map, I think it's helped them put more detail into the smaller map size. That's the first thing. The map size is a far better size. Secondly, is the icons you get on the map. Now, with other Ubisoft games, you just get icons piled all over the map, absolutely dotted everywhere. This, there was not. There was not. You literally had what you call, basically each borough you had to do 3-4 missions within each borough, which are pinpoints on the map, which will sort of help the people of that borough into an uprising against Albion and their control. And basically you have to, once you complete these missions, you then get a main mission from an operative, or an informant, should I say, which then, once you've completed that, you then go on to, basically, it's uprisen, Albion no longer has control. And that's for each borough. Now, with each borough, you've only got about 8 boroughs. And basically, I went out and did them first. Now, I did them within a few hours. So I thought, right, that's good. So the uprising's done the uprising missions, all the boroughs have been released from the grips of Albion. And then you get the main missions. Now, this is what I loved about this game, you are not plied with mission after mission after side quest after side quest, constantly bombarding your map at all. I mean, you gain some side missions, which you can do, but it's not to the level of, like, say, Assassin's Creed, where you've got like a whole inventory of side quests. I'd literally had about 2 or 3 side quests max, active at any given time, all the time. There was only about 3 points on the map, which were side missions that I could have gone and gained extra, but that was only 3. With other games in Ubisoft inventory, you basically get about 1 million different places on the map you can do a side quest, and this just felt so much more relaxing. I know it sounds stupid. To me, it felt easier to go and complete the main campaign. I was able to do the main campaign and still feel like that was actually worthwhile, whereas other games like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, and I've sort of got halfway through it and I burned myself out. This, I didn't burn out at all. It was just the right amount. And the map is not also dotted with millions of icons. And nor is the main, when you're playing, your HUD isn't dotted with millions of icons. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Now, they're the 2 main reasons why I felt this game was far superior to other Ubisoft open world titles. You see, the story in this game is not the greatest story in the world. The premise is that there's this overall bad guy called Zero Day, who's like an invisible force that's trying to change London and reset London by causing harm and destruction. And DedSec have been framed for it. The group you're in, DedSec, have been framed for it, and you've got to try and basically, rid London of all the violent gangs, whilst the overarching story is trying to find out who DedSec is and ending them. Now, you get 5 overall villains, which, to be honest, the way they've done it, it's like the Ubisoft way, whereas something like Assassin's Creed or Ghost Recon Wildlands, you have different villains in different areas. This is different. You don't have different villains in different boroughs. The whole of London is covered because of the maps. So this is why it's better with the map being smaller. So everything's not broken down into these different areas. It's the whole map is used for each gang. And you find that you've got Clan Kelly, which is headed up by Mary Kelly. You've got Albion, which is headed up by Nigel Cass. What's the other one? You've got Sky Larson. She's the one that's trying to create a sort of supercomputer out of human beings. And you've got to try and tackle them all. And the story's not the most engaging, but the way they've organically made you do these missions, it felt a lot more organic. There was no level gating. You ain't trying to go, you can't not go in an area because it's too high of a level. Everything is spread out amongst itself like it should be. Again, I attribute this to the smaller map size, which just, it's hard to describe, guys. If you've played it, or you haven't played it. If you have played it, you'll know exactly what I mean, guys. Just that smaller map size, that more condensed map just feels better, where the missions are all entwined in an, you've not just got to select certain missions in one area. Each gang has their missions spread across London, which just makes it feel a lot more organic and feels a lot better. So that's the story, guys. I'm not going to give too much detail about the story because I don't want to give too much away. Moving on to the gameplay. So the gameplay itself is absolutely fantastic. There is a bit of a kerfuffle. It's not a shooting game. So when you do end up getting into a shooting match in this game, the controls are very, very clunky. And I've died several times where I've ended up getting spotted and ended up getting into a shootout. And it's definitely designed for stealth. The stealth element, however, is absolutely fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. You've got a cover system. You've got obviously all your gadgets, your tech. You've got your spider bot, which you can actually stand outside any sort of main mission areas and just use a spider bot to almost do the whole mission. Not completely, but you do have that sort of element of basically not even having to physically go in there yourself. You've got drones you can hijack and take control of. You've got a cargo drone you can take control of, bring it down to you. You can climb on it, hack it, and then fly yourself to a higher ground. You've got so many gadgets, and you gain these gadgets by earning what you call tech points. And tech points are dotted all throughout the map. They're quite easy to find, to be honest. You get enough enough skill points to gain enough gadgets to get yourself through the main missions, and you get all sorts of gadgets. So there's no skill point system. You don't get any of this rubbish. It is literally tech points, which is a much better system. It feels a lot more organic again. There are a few problems with this game, guys. This game was sold on the concept of you can be anybody, which you can. You can scan anybody walking along the street anywhere, and you can find out their history and their details, who they're related to, what they do for a living, where they live, this, that, and the other. That to me was a novelty. I ended up finding one character. Literally, by the second mission, I had found my character, bought the clothes I wanted for him to dress in like I wanted to go, because you start off the game as almost like a 007 kind of spy. I liked that character. I thought that was really engaging, and I actually wanted, but he dies quite quick. So you end up, and obviously this is when you move on to trying to sort of build up your DedSec group by recruiting different people from the street. And obviously when you recruit people, you have to do sort of recruitment missions. You have to do something for them in order for them to join you, which is a good concept. It's not as easy as just going up to them going, yep, you're with us. There's like a story with that particular person. Now, the problem with this concept of being anybody is I ended up just sticking with one. I found my character, dressed him up in a suit and shoes, and I also dressed him up in like a sort of Division jacket because I thought that was cool because I like the Division. And I just stuck with him for the whole game. The only time I weren't him was when the game forces you to be a different character. I think if they do another Watchdogs, it's a good concept, but that needs to be like a background concept, not the main concept. You need to have a main character, in my eyes, because the story will be a lot more engaging if you are one main character. When you're completely different people, you can't feel engaged or immersed with your own character because you could just be anybody, and it just doesn't work for me. For me, that didn't work. So I ended up just being one character, completely flooring. Didn't have to go out. I didn't even bother going out recruiting anybody because I just didn't feel the need. I just didn't feel like I had to. But yeah, so that is one of the flaws with the game. Now, in terms of movement and stuff like that, like I said, the gun battles are a bit clunky when you're trying to sort of getting into a gun battle. But then you also have the element where when you do a stealth takedown, you have to wait for this animation. It's like a 5-second animation, and there's one of the characters who's like a hitman, and he ends up taking about almost 8 seconds to perform the takedown, stealth takedown. And I'm thinking, come on, just get on with it, you know. And I think they do take a little bit long with these stealth takedowns, and that is something I think they can just draw a little bit back to make them a bit 2-3 seconds. When you're pushing it up to 5 and one of them is 8, it starts to get a bit ridiculous, and it sort of takes away that excitement, because you know you're going to get spotted, and the element of doing a quick takedown just isn't there. So there are a few problems with it. I mean, there was a few glitching going on, a few cars driving through each other and things like that. I tell you what, one thing I did notice is the when you do a handbrake turn, it doesn't sound like. Now, you play a game like Grand Theft Auto, the skidding sounds of tyres burning on the tarmac always sounds the same. It's that really sort of Americanized, over dramatic skidding sound. Now, I've heard, you know, little boy racers around my area driving around in a stolen car or something, and you can hear the skid marks and when they're skidding. That's how it sounded in this game. It actually sounded like proper, like just like it was a car outside on the street. So it sounded the sound of the skid marks actually sounded realistic. In terms of sound in general, the ambience of London is really, really good. They do put an overemphasis on the accent, which is like at the start of this video, you hear me doing that, yo, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. They do put a proper overemphasis on the accent. Like, it's a bit too much sometimes. Like, there's a lot of swearing in the streets as you're walking along, and basically everyone's like an aggressive psychopath. That's what they've made everyone out like, which, to be fair, it can be like that, but in some areas of London it ain't. So they do over dramatise. For some reason, games do that. They over dramatise the London accent when it comes to a game based in London.
This is more than just martial.
So let's move on to what the hacking and what you can actually hack. So you can hack security cameras, which you can hack from one camera to another. You can hack cameras on computers. You can hack cars. You can hack them when you hack a car or vehicle. You can make it go forward or backwards or left or right, so you can control it from your phone. You can hack bollards in the middle of the road. So if you've been chased by the police, you can hack the bollards to come up and block them off, similar to Watchdogs 1 and 2. There's plenty of things to hack. Obviously, a lot of the hacking is done in the main missions and the side missions, because obviously you're hacking consoles, computers, and different sort of pieces of tech equipment that you have to engage with within a mission. You can scan the people walking around. You can hack the drones that are flying overhead all day long. The cargo drones you can hack and hijack. There is so much you can hack. It does feel like a world that is hackable. The best one for me is hacking each individual. Obviously, you don't go around hacking everybody, but hacking the individual and finding out their personal information and whether they're worthy to be recruited is good. Even though I didn't do the recruitment, I still just like looking at the information because I'm a nosy Parker. Like most people are nosy, so you just like to know information about them. And then, so yeah, that is sort of the element of the hacking. It's all there, like in the previous two games. Moving on to the sort of the world itself and how lived in it feels. I will be honest, this feels really, really lived in. They have paid a lot of attention to detail. Like I mentioned earlier, with the ambient sounds and the way people argue and talk, to Albion officers stopping someone and telling someone to get on their knees and handcuffing someone in the middle of the street that you just randomly walk past, which you can engage with. You can stop that from happening, and that makes it all the more immersive. To going into restaurants or bars or clubs or buildings or wherever areas, parks, people were sitting down, people were at restaurants eating, people in bars drinking in groups. Makes it all so engaging. Construction sites have construction workers walking around them like they should. The different areas have those different people living their lives, and it makes it all so engaging. And walking down the street, you get people on their phones, similar to GTA. GTA does have that, but for me, being in London, it just feels more close to home. and it's just such an engaging environment. It is really, really good. The vehicle driving is really, really fun. Like you can see here, this is one of the missions where you have to sort of race through a load of checkpoints and try and avoid Albion chasing after you, and it makes for some good action sequences. There's no quick time events. There's none of that in the driving section here. It's literally the car crashes are what you make it. The accidents are what you make it, and it makes for some good action. Like, you know, it just feels really, really engaging. You've also got the day and night cycle. So you've got the timer on the bottom left by the radar. It gives you the time of the day, and you can see it counting along, and the time changes with that day, and you get rush hour. Like in London, you get rush hour early in the mornings and late in the afternoons. It is really immersive because you see more traffic on the road during rush hour, which gives you that feeling of, this is a lived-in city. And everything just feels so immersive. It's just, I'm actually quite impressed by how immersive Ubisoft have made this world. Going on with the side missions, you also get little activities as well. Like I mentioned before, you get the sort of the in-world activities, like an Albion officer handcuffing someone that you can interact with and stop from happening. You also get fights erupting in the middle of the road, in the middle of the street between other people, NPCs. You also get, what did I say? Someone got knocked down by a car, and then you get people walking over going, oh my God, what's happened? Quick, someone call the police. The ambulance. Call 999. And someone is actually standing there. I observed this. I actually stood and watched someone calling 999, and it is so engaging. It's actually quite interesting to sort of actually observe what everybody's doing. But you also get an activity which is the bare knuckle boxing club, and but the good thing about this is it's not like a typical Ubisoft open world. There's not like 100 of them that you have to complete. There is literally 5 bare knuckle boxing clubs around the whole of the map that is achievable. That is not a grind to try and complete. And I completed it because I felt engaged, because I saw there was only 5. I thought I can get that done. And this is, again, entails into the size of the map and how they've structured the missions. It just feels really, really engaging and more believable without having to collect 100 of this or 100 of that or 500, 700 of this, do 800 of them. It just felt so much more engaging and believable. So, guys, that is the end of my serious review. And I would like to say, if you have not played this game, I suggest playing it. You will see what I mean. Some people might not like it, but for me, I haven't been a Watchdogs fan. But this, I actually got really, really engaged with compared to an Assassin's Creed game or something like that. This actually felt really engaging for me. Whether that be because it's in London, so I know the area, and it felt more easier to sort of engage and know where I'm going and what's what. But it was really, really good. So overall, I would say the game, for me, is a big thumbs up. I would say really get this game, especially since it's come out. They've fixed a lot of bugs and they've fixed a lot of things. There's also a DLC I'm going to download, the Bloodline DLC, where Hayden Pierce comes back. And he comes to London to wreak havoc. So I'm looking forward to that, to continue the story. I'm just hoping they continue with the smaller map in Watchdogs 4. If they do a Watchdogs 4 and they don't go down the lines of a live service, I really hope they do not. But for me, this is definitely a big, big thumbs up. I've had so much enjoyment with this game. Anyway, guys, don't forget, if you like my content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons. There will be a few things I have missed. So, guys, on that note, enjoy your days, weeks, your months, or even your years. But I'll be there for you. Nah. Anyway, guys, have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.